Guys,
Let me get in here.
how is everybody tonight? We got a friend here.
Hello, everybody. I'm jumping in the chat now. Just give me a sec.
Mara, how are we? Sibo, how are we? Shin, we got the whole crew here. Let's go. How is everybody this evening?
Hold on. I have to, there's 9 steps to log in. I have to have a authenticator token and a firstborn child and birth certificate. There we go.
Panic, I'm doing well. How are you? Brad, good to see you, my man. Bear with us a moment here. Ryan's just getting up the chat so he can keep up with what everybody's chatting about. Mara, thank you so much for the resub. 5 months, let's go. Mara, my first sub ever, actually.
What's your? I know your social tags, but what's your actual Twitch channel?
Chris Davis TGI. Fred in the house. What's going on, Fred? Good to see you, man. Hype train, let's go, baby.
Isn't there a way to pop this chat out to like full screen?
Yes. I think if you click the gear down, do you have the gear show up, or is that only if on my stream? I don't remember.
Yeah, I have a little gear down here.
There should be a pop out chat. Is the bottom thing in the first little
Pop
section.
out chat.
There you go. Magic.
All right, ready to rip.
Ready to party. Let's go. Guys, please welcome our good friend Mr. Ryan Key of Yellowcard, and also of William Ryan Key, your solo project. Which
Hello, everyone.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I wasn't aware that you were doing a side project until a couple days ago when I was just flipping through a bunch of Yellowcard stuff, and I was like, oh shit.
Well, that's the nature of putting out 2 5-song EPs totally on your own with no record label and no. I mean, it's the nature of that.
Sure. I mean, I also feel like, admittedly, so I was like, oh shit, Bands, Brews, and BS, thank you so much for the gifted subs. I appreciate you. When I was younger and first starting to play music and stuff, I feel like I had a better grasp of what was going on with music at large. 100%. And then once I got into a band, it became more like hyper focused on the bands within our circle.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of tunnel vision. I just lost sense of everything else that was going on in the world.
I mean, dude, I find most stuff like my taste in music these days is very electronic. So I listen to I don't know, some of my favorite artists are this Icelandic duo called Kiasmos. Both of the guys in that duo have their own projects. Olafur Arnalds and Janus Rasmussen are their names.
Okay.
Olafur's kind of like a composer, and Janus is like a producer, like a beats kind of DJ producer. So that together they do their own things like that, separate, and then together they have this like neoclassical EDM hybrid thing. It's absolutely mind blowing. So check it out. But them and John Hopkins, legendary English DJ producer, does all of Coldplay's programming for the most part.
Okay.
Max Cooper, another UK producer. Anyways, I'm name dropping all these guys to say that I'll put one of them on and just hit, like let the iTunes or what do we call it now?
Spotify, Apple Music. Yep.
I have to have Spotify, but I've always been an Apple user, so
Sure.
Anyways, yeah, just let it do its thing, and that's kind of how I'll just be like working, doing whatever I'm doing, and it's on, and I'll have to stop and be like, what is this? And every once in a while, I'll click through, find a record, and then I have a new, something new to listen to. But other than that, it's like, find me listening to newer, obscure Radiohead and EDM, and that's about,
Sure.
That's about all I've got for you.
Sure.
Soundtracks too. I listen to a lot of soundtrack music. So yeah, and just shifting from that rock and roll kind of tunnel vision for sure. Like
Yep.
when I say EDM, I know that's a loaded word that people have in the rock community have a very mixed reaction to.
Well, everybody just thinks Skrillex and only Skrillex. Only Skrillex.
I know, and I've come to learn through my fandom of it that it's such a massive umbrella to say those words, but like there's not another way to genreify it. So it's like
Right.
there's subsets within that genre, like anything, like it within the style. But it's really opened my mind and my heart and my just as a human being, dude. This music I'm into now, And yeah, it's a huge part of who I am now. So anyways, same as you though. I don't even within that, I don't know what's going on unless I hear a song on shuffle that I'm like, never heard that, and I click through to it.
Yep. Admittedly, I like, you know, Spotify like curates all of these playlists that they think would like work for you,
Yep.
and I like I it's gonna sound so bad as a guy who plays in the band and records bands, but like I'm so burnt out with music most of the time that
Yeah.
I very rarely ever sit down and listen to music, and when I do, I rarely ever listen through those playlists, which is very bad of me. I'm ashamed
You
of
just
myself.
need to put on some Max Richter records and just like let your mind wander, bro, and be at peace.
You just need to send me some suggestions after this.
I will.
And melt my brain.
I will.
Guys, thank you all for being here tonight. If you have any questions for Ryan or myself, please feel free to drop them in chat. I will try to keep up. I'm sure Ryan will try to keep up.
Yeah, I am definitely a wine guy. That is very true. It is. I went to the dentist yesterday for the first time in a long, because I'm pretty good about the dentist, but COVID really kind of fucked that up for me.
Yep.
I moved twice and I took it very seriously. It was around my parents a lot last year. But anyways, I went and she was like, do you drink a lot of coffee? And I was like, nope, but I know exactly what you're referring to, and all of that staining on my teeth is from red fucking wine. So I'm definitely a wine guy.
My bass player is a wine connoisseur himself as well. We played the last tour we did. We were supposed to play somewhere in Seattle, and it got moved last minute to some like wine bar that also happened to have a venue in it. And the owner of the club just let him and our guitar tech just sit and sample all the wines they had, and they were inside just sampling wines until like 2 a.m. like that. But that's his shit. He loves that stuff.
Sure, sign me up.
Yeah. Oh no, that's fucking miserable.
I'm actually sipping on some really fine grape juice tonight because I'm celebrating. We were talking a little bit before after we're done. My girlfriend's coming over. We're gonna cook some late food and have some really, really good wine because I signed my little Twitch deal today, and I'm very excited. So
yeah, do we
haven't
want
had a big thing to celebrate, like that in a long time. So feels good.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Ryan's been streaming on Twitch for a little bit now. He's been doing
sucking at Warzone. That's what I do.
He's been doing a lot of Warzone streams. But he is going to start doing some music production type stuff. You want to talk about that a little bit? Let him know what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, sure. Part of it I don't want to spoil here because
Sure.
we're going to kind of do an announce on the first day. So this coming Monday, the 24th, I'm going to do my first one that's really just going to be a test stream. So I work with my friend Ryan Mendez. He was the lead guitar player and one of the songwriters in Yellowcard since 2005. So, I mean, not an original member, but goes way, way back to the original days, So he's one of my closest friends in the world. And we have, since post Yellowcard, we've been working on a lot of music together. Mostly instrumental and score driven type stuff, and we're very excited. We scored a movie last summer, our first little indie flick we did, and it's not out or done or whatever because it's the nature of movies, but we did do that, and then this year, we don't know when we're going to start, but we have officially been hired to score a project for Disney. And
holy shit.
Yeah, man, it's all happening. But we've had this
Congrats.
project for like 3 years now or something, and we have it was originally going to be an album. So we have some album tracks that we finished. We have a bunch of skeletons that need to come out and be worked on. And so Monday we're going to test. Basically the way we work is he's in Goleta, California. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have a lot of software and Zoom and whatever else that makes it literally feel like we're in the same room. It's crazy. I mean, he can drive. He can run for those of you that don't do music production, when you're operating Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, it's called driving. So Ryan can jump in and drive remotely. It's crazy. So we have to make sure all of that's working. So if you want to come hang, that'll be on my channel next Monday for a couple hours while we set that up. But then the 31st of May, which is a Monday, will be the first official sort of stream from the studio on my channel. And Ryan and I are going to announce our project. We're going to play everyone all the music we've made up to this point. We'll probably play through our soundtrack and just chill and hang and let everybody hear what the music's like. So I'll be doing that on Mondays. I'm going to try to stick to a schedule. Wednesday, I'm working on this cool kind of Yellowcard reimagining project.
That's sick.
I don't. Have you ever heard of Hammock?
Yes, I have.
Oh, yeah. So they're from here in Nashville actually, and they're one of my favorite artists on the planet Earth. And randomly through tweeting, we connected, and ended up Mark from Hammock and I, let's grab lunch. So we've become buds.
Sick.
So I'm doing an entire record of Yellowcard songs where I'm basically coming up with a super cool, chill Olafur Arnold style piano version, like felt piano version of all of like 10 Yellowcard songs. So I just send a piano and a vocal off to Hammock, and then they turn them into Hammock tracks, like full, massive, huge. So we're doing a whole 10-song record together. So I'll be producing my part of that, the pianos and vocals and stuff, on Wednesdays. And then I'm planning on putting out my third like solo EP later this year. So on Friday, I'll just be working on stuff for that, like a new track for that to get released. And so it's gonna be a lot of stuff. Hope people are stoked on it. I mean, you don't know till you try stuff on Twitch. I'm finding out.
Yep.
But that's my plan, and I'm hoping people are into it.
That's fucking cool.
It's gonna be killer.
I think they will. Like I was saying to you before we got on stream, like, there's a lot of people doing things like I do where you play through your songs. There's not a lot of people doing the music creation side of things, and I think that's going to be really interesting for people to get a glimpse into like how your brain works in that process of stuff.
For sure.
So I'll be there hanging. I'm also an audio nerd, so like
cool.
That's like my shit.
You'll really get a kick out of this stuff Ryan and I are doing, because it's really intense, dude. Like the track load is heavy, and the stuff we're doing is just so fun. It's like playing a video game, really. I mean, it's like there's no rules in this kind of music. We're making more electronic, ambient kind of stuff, and there's no confines. You can twist and warp a sound as far as it can possibly go to make it your own thing. And I'm excited to talk about that with people too, like the old presets or not presets debate. It's like I fucking love presets because I take them and I twist and warp and change them and fuck them up to a point where you never knew that's the sound I found from the sample packer library that I took it from. So we do a lot of that in our work, and a lot of string work. I'm excited to show people. We do software strings, but you will be tough to tell us that they're not real strings.
Right.
And we've really had a good time mastering that and working with this certain software libraries we use. And I'm stoked, man. It's gonna be really fun.
Are you guys using the what is it, Spitfire audio
for
libraries?
For big string sections? Yes, for like full orchestral stuff. Sorry, and even that, most of what we're doing doesn't call for like intense full sort of chamber orchestra type stuff. So we use what helps it feel more real is that we actually use the more kind of nuanced, like special sample packs that are like interesting samples of strings sections playing like very soft, very delicate, very whispery, very sometimes like out of tune. And we use those more than we would use like a big orchestra for something. So it helps it actually sound more real because it's those samples are a little more nuanced. But we also use a website called Best Service. It's a German website, and so they make now officially they have all three: emotional cello, emotional viola, and emotional violin. Dude, it's
game changer.
It is some wild shit, bro. Like one of the first thing people ask me when I play them songs, I keep almost saying the name of our project and I'm holding back. Yeah. When I play them a song from it, people are like, dude, who played the cellos? Everyone wants to know who the cellist was. And they're software cellos. It's just crazy.
It's crazy how far sample packs across the board
I know
have come. It's so bizarre.
I feel bad although bro, I did track some real strings in Florida last year. I lived in Florida for several months last year, sort of as a band-aid between the pandemic. And I did some real strings, and it was like, oh, okay. It's still there. It's like, the problem is no one knows now but you, but me or you, But when I was tracking it, it was like, oh, that's so gnarly and real. And like, I don't have to choose the emotive part or where the vibrato gets heavier, or he's just doing it,
Right.
So that was very cool to get in and track some analog strings, but it is what it is, man. They don't give you money to make records and stuff anymore, so sorry.
You
gotta do what you gotta do to keep making music. The tools are there for you to use them. That's what I think.
I couldn't agree more. As I've gotten older and had a little bit more experience within making records and stuff, and technology has progressed, I've become a little less purist, and I'm more about whatever's going to get the job done the most efficiently and have it sound the best in the end that's all I care about. Whatever you got to do to get there, like, who cares?
Yeah, dude. It's the times are changing, and you adapt or die, man. It is what it is. Like, would I be beyond excited? I was gonna answer a question here really quick for Pauly.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Sometimes it was really hard to find places, and then sometimes it just was like epiphany, you know, of like violin part just lifts the whole. It's right. It's supposed to be there. But being the unique instrument that it was in our genre, I think, you know, you obviously clearly by asking the question, you recognize that we often had to sort of figure out where it fit into the process sometimes, but it wasn't regular. It wasn't very often that we were stuck or like, you know, would like finish a song and be like, well, now where's the violin go? It was a part of the process.
Right.
You know, and there's only like 2 or 3 songs in the history of the catalog that don't have it on you know, and they're older, but
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree, man. It's just like, would I love to get back to a point where, you know, this scoring and composing mission I'm on, you know, lifts me to a place where where it's not about me like getting paid, but the budget allows for let's go track strings. 100%. 100%. Especially because now I have the tool. I don't read or write music like sheet music, but I now have the tools to write strings, fully realize, and I get pretty stoked, honestly, like humble brag on like my skill in composing a string section. I am loving doing it. And
sure,
a couple of the pieces I've done on my own, even without Ryan, I've just been like, wow, dude, composing strings, who knew that was a thing for you? But you know, you can take that to someone now and they will transcribe it for you, hand it over to the orchestra or the quartet, and then they rip it live. Again, how cool is that? That's the era we live in.
Yep. So it's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I don't know the answer to this. I'm sure you will, but I don't know much about scoring and making soundtracks. But like a guy like Hans Zimmer, is he even doing real orchestra stuff, or is he all like sound libraries?
Yeah, no, he's definitely doing a full. Okay. Whatever he needs, he does. I mean, look, the guy is very much living in the neoclassical space of like incorporating a ton of electronic elements into his scores.
Right.
But if you hear strings on a Zimmer soundtrack, it's real strings.
Yeah, sure. I'd imagine that anything he gets hired to score, he's just getting the budget for.
He's scoring $250,000 or $250 million movies.
Right. Yeah.
$500 million movies.
There's a little bit of money to work with there.
Yeah.
I have to ask one question for our good friend Bacon Reaper here, and he's gonna keep telling me to ask it until I ask it.
All right.
And he asks this to everybody I have come on. How do you like your bacon? Crispy or crispy as fuck?
Crispy as fuck. I straight up ask him to burn it, basically, if I'm at a restaurant.
My friend Cody from Wage War was on last week, and he said kill it twice, and that's my favorite way to describe it I've ever heard. That's fucking good.
Yes.
Okay, so we're good here.
That's how I like it. We actually made I went to like a big family gathering, meet my girlfriend's family thing, and she was like cooking bacon for this dish she cooks. She does food, that's her thing, which is really cool for me.
Right.
And pulls it out, and there was like kind of the oven was like this old kind of vintage oven thing at her brother's place, and it had like a hot spot. She's like, look, your oven has a hot spot, FYI. She's like, so I can't use that that quarter of the tray or whatever. I was like scraping that shit off the tray with a spatula, just burned black bacon. Loved it.
I'm about it. Young Gun with the raid. 72 people. Let's go. Party.
What's up, dude?
Colt, thank you so much for the raid, my man. Welcome, everybody.
Dude. Hello.
Welcome. We got a party in here now.
Good to see you.
Mara has requested that I show you one of my guitars real quick. 1 second.
Ooh,
this is my new baby.
She just knew I would like that.
Yeah, I'm in a phase.
She just knew
now.
all. I mean, do I like stuff that's black?
Yeah, I couldn't have guessed. I'm also just like, I'm on a kick right now where I really am enjoying the idea of like dad rock-ish guitars and then playing heavy music on them.
Cool.
So when I saw them release this guitar, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make it metal as shit.
Yeah,
so,
dude, that's sexy. I love how much you can see the wood grain in it.
It's cool. You can actually feel it too. It's like sandblasted. You can feel all of the wood grain. It's crazy.
That's a sexy beast.
Have you ever fucked with Evertune bridges at all?
Bro, here, let me show you.
All right.
So when I was touring with Newfound, I found this dude had modded this Telecaster with this like Ventera neck on it on reverb. And
Sick.
so I got it, and he already had it kind of hot rodded for one pickup.
Okay.
So I got it, and I put the black Evertune in it.
Yeah.
So this is just like my Newfound Yellowcard, one trick, one knob guitar. You know,
Hey
like,
man,
that's all I need.
sometimes
But
that's all you need.
If I'm gonna be playing with them, gotta have a sister.
Oh yeah.
So I did this one with like the off-white like cream
Oh yeah.
guy.
See,
and the zebra Seymour Duncan pickup.
That's
So-
I'm also
and
a sucker
they
for.
did it at Fender. They took a telly and put one of these Ventera necks on it for me, so it would match.
So
sexy
sick.
with his giant headstock.
So sick. I'm a sucker for the one pickup, one volume knob kind of setup too. It's
Tom
so
Long
good.
style.
If I didn't need a bridge pickup, I would just strictly only have one pickup, one volume knob, and nothing else. You can't fuck it up then. You just plug and play.
Yep, and it's like I have guitars for the other stuff, but like for touring with, you know, a Warped Tour band,
Right.
you need one knob.
Is that the guitars you're playing when you fill in for Newfound? When you do
Yeah, I
Newfound
mean,
stuff?
I'm not playing with them anymore. But,
Okay, when you were doing that, is that what
that's
you were
what I
playing?
used on the road with them. Yes.
Sick. Yeah, I love the whole plug and play. You literally can't fuck it up. No, nothing to bump and like be like, oh, something doesn't sound right. You literally can't. So out of curiosity, how did you get into audio production to begin with? Because I started doing it because I wanted to write music on my own because I got sick of doing it at band practice when nobody else was paying attention, or I was like trying to work through an idea and our fucking drummer's tapping on a bunch of shit. So I just started doing it because I wanted to write my own songs, and then it kind of just evolved from there. Like, how do I make my songs sound better? And then okay, well that was cool. Maybe I can help my friends make their songs sound a little bit better, you know? Like, and it just evolved. What was it for you?
I was gonna say, Corey in chat just said, "What is this? A battle of the cleanest stream setups?" I love it.
Hey,
By the way, Corey, when we first got on tonight, I was like, "Huh, look at my lights. Huh, look at his lights." Like,
it's all about the vibe, man. It's vibe.
You know what we're doing. Man, it's so gradual, and I don't have a real definitive answer. I don't think I wasn't interested in it really at all when we were making like the big, huge budget Yellowcard records at Sunset Sound, you know. But I will say that my relationship with Neil Avron, our producer, has always been one of the strongest, not just in music, but in my life. He's been such an important person in my life. Kind of like, he's not a whole, I mean, he's only 8 years older than me, 10, maybe 10. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how old he is, but God, I hope he's not 50 yet. I don't want to believe that. But either way, he was kind of a father-ish figure, kind of, in California, you know, away from my family. Like, we worked with him a lot, and we connected and bonded. And I went through some really dark shit back then, and he was just he was there. He's always there for me. And anyways, so I was always fascinated by him, but it didn't translate into, like, I want to do that.
Sure.
We had a little rig that we demoed Lights and Sounds on. In New York, when I lived in Manhattan for the writing process of that. But even that was like, what's the bare minimum I need to do to get a guitar in here and make a demo?
Right.
It just still didn't appeal to me. Then when the band broke up in 2008, kind of low-key broke up without announcing we were breaking up, but then it ended up working out. We got back together, and on that second round, demoing had evolved, even in just a short amount of time, to like, the MacBooks were getting stronger. There was more stuff you could do, and Ryan Mendez was always super into it. I mean, he was like super into production. Like, when he joined Yellowcard, he didn't record Lights and Sounds with us, but he did write and record Paper Walls with us. And he was immediately just in heaven, like being a part of a big budget album like that and being in a studio like that and all that. So when we started demoing for When You're Through Thinking Say Yes and Southern Air and all that stuff, I just kind of started hanging with him while we were doing it. And that I started to kind of prick my ears, like, oh, I may not, and I still don't have like the nuance, like mixing skills that he has. I don't have the patience for it.
Sure.
But we recognized early on that we had like a working relationship where I brought something to it and he brought something to it. And so we started demoing the records together. We started doing, we had done some of our own demos like in the breakup time that he produced and mixed. So we had already started this working relationship. So that was part of it. And then, around that time is when Ryan's the reason I'm into all this electronic shit. Ryan
Okay.
gave me a John Hopkins record called Immunity, and he was like, "You love Coldplay, and I've been waiting for a long time to give you this because this is the guy who does all of their programming and shit, and
Sure.
I think you're ready." That's what he said. He's like, "I think you're ready." And boy, did he open up a can of worms, man. I mean, I never looked back. And so he gave me that record. I went down the rabbit hole, and that was, 10, 11 years ago now. But that led us into a record we made, a Yellowcard record we made called Lift a Sail, which is a very divisive record. Doesn't sound like Yellowcard at all, but it sounds
Sure.
like we as human beings sounded at that time in our life. So it
Right.
is what it is. But
Right.
I did a ton of programming. I just put on gloves and was like, let's go. And I just learned how to do so all of the crazy, wacky electronic loops and programming shit. I was in Studio B, call it, doing that while the other guys were literally making the whole album. Like, I didn't play a single note of guitar on that record. I showed up to sing, and then I'd go back and smoke a little weed and program.
Tinker a little bit. Yeah.
And so I was programming like crazy, and that's really when I was like, okay, this is definitely something I want to do more of, and invest more in my own equipment and stuff. And then so knowing that Yellowcard was going to break up for real long before anyone else did, my plan was I'm going to go produce records for bands. Like, I'm sure that there's hopeless bands and fearless bands, whatever, young new bands. And it just didn't pan out.
Sure.
I talk about this a lot, like times where you think the Yellowcard card is going to play,
Yep.
and times when you don't think it's going to play. I thought it was going to play there, and it did not. It was like,
Right.
I thought people were just going to be like, oh, hell yeah, I want to make a record. I mean, cocky, selfish maybe, but that's what I thought. And it was like, yeah, we could come in for a week and like do a song, no fee, no pay, like do a song and see how it vibes and feels. And because I just didn't have enough under my belt.
Sure.
To prove that I knew what I was doing. So long story short, that just led me back to making my own music. I put out the 2 EPs. I produced those with my buddy. I like working with other people. I do. I don't love just doing everything on my own. So I love working with Ryan. I co-produced my EPs with Arun from Saves the Day, the guitar player from Saves the Day.
Sick.
So yeah, I like having another, especially not being in the band after being in the band for so long, not having any other brains to bounce ideas off of can be a little weird sometimes. So yeah, it really kind of slowly trickled in, and then, having to sort of like make a life plan post Yellowcard is what got me into full-time building the studio, doing production, learning, more like to know what I'm doing. And I feel pretty good about it now.
Sure. Yeah.
I know what I'm doing now. I know
Right.
my way around the kitchen.
My drummer Andrew is in chat right now. He's Paul Mute. He says, "What kind of wine is Ryan
Bro,
drinking?" I'm wondering.
I feel really bougie saying this because I cracked it. I was gonna wait for my girlfriend to get here, but I cracked this because we were gonna do this and I wanted to. Kind of celebrating tonight. So
Sure.
This is not a regular thing. No one be like, oh, you talk about like you had a song on the radio and you're not a millionaire, but you're drinking that. Like, that's not what's happening here. But it's a Silver Oak 16 cab. And boy, oh boy, is it special.
I think what you're celebrating tonight is worth cracking that. I think it's valid.
It is.
I think it's valid.
Celebrating. And we're celebrating together on your stream, and I'm happy about it.
Yep, let's go. You've probably answered this question a million times, but I'm kind of curious, and you kind of answered it a little bit now. And I'm only curious because I had, on a much smaller scale, a similar situation. Before I joined the Ghost Inside, I was in another band called Texas in July, and I had been in that band for 5 or 6 years, and we toured nonstop.
Cool band name.
It's an interesting band name. It was named before I came into the picture.
It works for me in like the Mogwai Caspian explosions in the sky.
Okay.
I know that's not what you sounded like.
Right.
If someone's like, "Have you heard this band Texas in July?" I'd be like, "Oh, they sound like explosions, right?" That would be.
I mean, that's a fair assumption, but it would be way off.
That's why I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
My mind went.
But the band in the beginning, our trajectory looked pretty promising, and then it kind of slowed down and it started to fizzle out, and it became really apparent to us that we were gonna have to put it to rest. And I had no fucking clue what I was gonna do. I had zero backup plan. I had never considered doing anything
fun, right?
else. It's horrifying. And
try that in 2016.
Duh, dude. Now, luckily, as we were deciding we were going to come to an end, I got the offer to play for the Ghost Inside, and so I was able to make that shift. But like, were you, I mean, for a lack of better terms, fucking scared when Yellowcard was coming to an end? I was.
Oh yeah.
I was horrified, and I was in a much smaller band.
Dude, I was terrified. And the thing was is that I knew the final tour was going to be you know, the most lucrative endeavor that the band had ever done. I mean, and really it was like even more than Ocean Avenue days. It was wild.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
was a wild thing. So I knew that was going to be good. You know, from a put a Band-Aid on it and give me some time to figure it out.
Right.
But, you know, being very real with you, like it ran out. It's like, it wasn't forever. It was like, it was, you know, got me through a couple of years of figuring out what I'm going to do and really being able to still focus on music, which I'm really grateful for. But as that started to sort of fade away, the you know, the spoils of the final tour started to sort of run out. You know, it's like, what am I doing? What am I gonna do, dude? And if you followed my career at all, like, you know, I feel like I've annoyed the shit out of fans that have taken the time to stick with me after the band, because I'm the dog in Up. I'm like, squirrel,
Right.
squirrel,
Right.
squirrel. Like, I keep just like, that sounds cool. That sounds cool. But really what it is I just am trying to follow a path that's gonna take that fear away of like not having something that's gonna, you know, be steady and be like feel like, okay, cool, I you know, I can continue to live the life I like to live, and I can continue to, you know, further my career without that stress. And I mean, I know we all deal with that stress, so I think it's a universal thing to relate to. But yeah, my hustle has never been more extreme than post. It took me like about a year when, like, I was down in the dumps for about a year. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it was weird for about a year, and then something just flipped. Like early 18, something flipped, and I just started charging it. As far like, originally it was, let's do the EPs. I'm gonna tour. I'm gonna be a solo artist. I was very like wide-eyed and aware as that went on that was not gonna really pan out.
Right.
You know, it was amazing, and I love the songs that I wrote and recorded. It was very freeing artistically to not have to make a pop punk album, to be honest.
Right.
So I made this sort of like Explosions in the Sky meets Elliott Smith record that I'm still I'm so proud of it. But yeah, I don't know. I realized that wasn't the thing either. So I started hustling this, hustling that. Then the pandemic hit. I had to hustle within that. It's been wild and emotionally exhausting for sure,
dude.
Yeah, like my life is officially changed
So
as of
sick.
today. So I'm feeling really good. I've been feeling great. I mean, having a blast and not having that fear for quite some time that you're asking about.
Yep.
I've been really stoked and lucky to keep charging it the way I have and doing music, getting the opportunities that I keep getting.
Yep.
But yeah, when it first went down, you know, it's not a secret that we didn't all wake up on the same day, in the same sunny morning, and say, oh, you all feel exactly the same way, that it's time for the band to end. You know,
right.
It took some time for us all to align and figure out how to do that right and be at peace with it.
Yeah.
So there was a long period of terror. Yes.
Yeah. I had to deal with that similarly after our bus crash.
Yeah, man.
Where it was like, there was, you know, a year or more, probably like 2 years where I wasn't sure that we would ever play again. I wasn't even sure if we would, like, we had said, like, you know, if we can't play, we'll just make records. And I didn't even know if that was going to happen. And then it was like this like internal struggle of like, I've been Chris from XYZ band for all of these years, for, you know, 10 plus years now. Like, who the fuck am I if all of this goes away? Like, what do I do with my life?
Yeah. It's your identity, man. It's like, you know, I don't say this like in a self, like in a pity, like way, like,
sure,
people, I think the majority of people in the world, if they are going to recognize who I am, I'm the guy from Yellowcard. They don't say, oh, look, it's Ryan Key. That's real. That's reality.
Right.
It doesn't bother me. It's great. Yellowcard was my life for almost 20 years. But take that away, and like, your name isn't even your identity. You're the guy from Yellow. It's like, it is a moment of crisis for sure. So I can only imagine how scared all of you guys were in that moment. I mean, fuck, dude.
Yep. Yeah. And I just like, I've also just never had any other passions in life, literally other than music. And then it's like, well, I guess I can
There's
go
that
like,
too.
I guess I can go like work construction. Like, I don't know what the fuck
Yeah, like,
am I gonna
I
do
don't know
with
if you
myself.
guys, I don't know if you guys ever had the joke about whether you were gonna pick a blue apron or an orange one, like if you're going to Lowe's or Home Depot. Like that was always our thing of like when times were getting tougher, it was like, well, which side are you on, orange or blue?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's always there, but I would really love to not have to do that.
You know, at least you learn a skill if you want. You know, you can go work at Home Depot and learn all kinds of shit.
I mean, this is true, but I'm so bad at that kind of shit. I'm not good with my hands in that way. Ryan Sola's stuff is way more my taste musically than Yellowcard was, so I'm super stoked on the stream coming up. Mara, I'm not gonna. I mean, I've loved Yellowcard, but when I was jamming the stuff when I found it the other day, I was like, my God, this is like way more my speed for Chris in 2021 than Yellowcard is, and
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know how much time you gave to the last two Yellowcard records, but I would think would be more your speed too.
Think so?
Like,
okay.
we like didn't go over like 150 BPM. Like it was.
Oh, baby,
like,
talking about style.
Like,
oh
it was
yeah,
totally, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm about it.
So yeah, you should check it out. They're definitely my favorite. Those two records are my favorite records. But
hello from Tokyo. Hello. It's quite impressive and a testament to both of you and your perseverance to power through the troubled times, work hard, and follow what you love. Really inspiring. I think it's more so.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Yes. For me, it's just like I just don't know anything else, and if there's any glimmer of hope of making it happen and continue to happen, I'm gonna for sure pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah,
ahead.
I just the same with me as far as like not having anything else. I would say, you know, I grew up my whole life starting as a little tyke doing theater, like theater and dance even actually. I was a little theater kid, and I was studying at Florida State University for a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in theater. Like that was it. My whole life was devoted to that, to moving to New York, you know, doing plays. I wasn't a musical guy, which is funny, actually, but I hated musicals, hated doing musicals, hated singing in musicals.
Do you still hate them now? Do you still hate them now?
What's up?
Do you still hate musicals now?
It depends. There are definitely ones that I love and have seen and I, you know, have been like totally moved and blown away by. The kind of classic, just standard ones that you have to do in high school. I just loathed it. I loathed it. But anyways, you know, I Florida State wasn't the school I wanted to be at. It's a lot of the reason I ended up being in Yellowcard in the first place was dropping out of there and kind of rebelling against my parents' whole plan for college and all that. But the idea that I now have a real opportunity, it looks like, because we just got this job, Brian and I just got a real job doing this, to be able to combine the two worlds is like the biggest dream come true of my life. I make this joke about like quit theater, you know, I lost that dream of like being at the Oscars when I was a little kid. Like, that was a very real, like I saw that, I would envision it, I would, you know, which is not the reason you should do things to get awards, but either way, I loved film and I loved, you know, and so like every year the Oscars is a big thing still for me. I love watching them. I love, you know, I watch all the films to get ready, and so I have this new kind of joke with myself that like, it's not over yet, you know, because I'm starting to really break in and start doing some music for film and stuff. So I don't think I'm actually going to the Oscars. That's completely an internal like affirmation type thing. But just the point that if I had any other thing I had passion about my whole life other than music, it would have been theater and acting and stuff that I grew up doing. And now kind of colliding those two worlds has been amazing. Like, dude, last summer when we scored that film, again, it was just like for a buddy. It's a really small indie film, but I hadn't done it yet. I had fucked around in Pro Tools with scoring some stuff, like a YouTube video that I ripped or whatever, but nothing. I hadn't had a booked gig. When we put that film in there, dude, in the session and opened it up, and like I opened Contact for the first time and just started watching the picture and like doing shit, like, dude, my hair is standing up right now telling me
getting chills.
I was immediately like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. Should have been always doing it. Grateful for my journey, but this is the fucking thing.
That's fucking cool.
I'm really excited.
That's cool. And you never know, man. You might be at the Oscars. You have to speak that shit. You have to speak that shit into existence. Speak it into the universe.
It's more me joking with Mendez when I do it, because he's very level-headed and like keep, you know, like I'm not gonna get my hopes up about anything until, which is, if you've been in the music business long enough, you know, don't get your fucking hopes up about anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, you just don't, like, you're gonna get, never mind. You know, it's just like, that's how it goes every time.
Right.
But my response to that is always like, yeah, okay, well, I'm just, when we're sitting together in Hollywood at the Oscars, you know, I just fuck with them.
I'm gonna believe for you that that's gonna happen.
I appreciate you, man. We got a long way to go, but I appreciate you. I might be 70, but better late than never.
I mean, you're already working on a Disney film. I think you're well on your way.
It's I can't tell you what it is. It's actually not a film. It's very fucking cool what it is.
Well,
it's totally new. It's a totally new medium that they're getting their feet wet with, and we're gonna be doing the first one of these projects.
Okay, well, either way, it's you've been hired by Disney, so regardless of what it is you're working on, that's a huge win in my book.
It's crazy, man.
Mara says, Chris, what software do you use? It's not Pro Tools, is it something else? I mainly use Studio One, but for drum editing and stuff, I use Pro Tools. And she also says Twitch is the future. So excited to see how the music scene on here develops. Mara, I agree, and I wish that I would have jumped in sooner. I was fucking honestly terrified. I didn't think anybody was going to show up. But at the end of the day, I was
right
like,
now I'm 2 weeks away. I'm like, no one's gonna watch this shit.
Dude, you watch. It's gonna go through the roof. I promise you that. But my thing was like, I'm sitting here playing guitar on my own anyway. Like, if I can sit here and like have a conversation with somebody while I'm doing it, that's way more fun. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. Well, honestly, bro, that's something I'm gonna have to learn to manage, because my streams are gonna be so like functional workflow. Like, it's stuff I actually need to be doing.
Right.
So I hope that translates in a way where if I'm not constantly like just kind of in between every little thing I'm doing, talking and hanging in a chat sense, you know, I know that's a huge part of the platform. So finding that balance, I think, is going to be a little tough because again, my sessions are actual purposed sessions. They're not just like random, fun, you know. So we'll see how it goes. But obviously, like, I'm down to do what I got to do to make it work, but I'm interested to see how it goes when I'm actually in the zone, fully working, and also trying to be conscious of that, you know.
Right. I think, you know, it'll take a few streams, but I feel like your regulars will start to get it, and then you won't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, cool.
Hazzy says, how was your time with Newfound Glory? That must have been a lot of fun.
That's the only word. I mean,
yeah.
After being in Yellowcard for 17 years, and like just bearing the weight and responsibility of it being your band and being the singer of that band and all that stuff, doing Newfound was like just so, it was only fun. I didn't do any press, I didn't do any acoustic shows, I didn't do any in-stores. I just showed up at 9:30 p.m., put on my guitar, ripped songs for 90 minutes. That was it. You know, with some of my greatest buds through my time in music. There was no, like, I wasn't involved in, not to say every band has their shit, but like, just, there was no ego, there was no personality, like, inflation with us, because that wasn't my role in that job.
Right.
So I loved it. Honestly, it was the most like head clearing, refreshing thing to be like right after Yellowcard, to get the chance to do that. I think it really helped me get where I am now, was having the chance to do that.
That's awesome. I had a similar experience from my band before the Ghost Inside coming, where I was a part of the business, handling the business stuff, and then logistics stuff, and then making sure everybody knew all their parts, and I would set up all the gear, and I'd build out the session in Logic to run our backtracks and stuff. And then I showed up for day one of tour at the Ghost Inside, and it's like, all right, well, we have a guitar tech, so you don't have to do anything. You just walk on stage and play. And I'm like, fine by me. Yeah. I'm not mad about that.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing too with Newfound. Like, I still had that. I had, you know what I mean? I still had the perks of like being in a band the size of Newfound, but I didn't have to deal with any of the band shit.
Right.
The best.
Right. Right. Now, when you were touring on the solo stuff, you went back into a van. How miserable or fun was that? Was it? Because I've told people have asked me if I would do another band if Ghost Inside wouldn't have continued, and it might make me sound a little bit jaded, but like, if it meant that I had to get back in a van, there's no way I would do it.
It was both. Honestly, it was both. Like,
sure.
Like, some of it was super Look, no question was it just like humbling. Yes, it was like
Sure, yeah.
fully. If you want to bring your feet back to the ground, especially when you're someone who has been accused through the years of not having your feet on the ground at times, just get back in a van for the first time in 15 years, literally. And not only get in the van like you and one other dude has to do all that. It was just me and my longtime tech from Yellowcard, who was very cool to come out and do all that shit with me for over those 2 years.
Right.
But, you know, we drove the whole everything. We drove it all, and dude, Yellowcard never even did a van tour in Europe. But we went straight to bus. And
Damn.
so I did my first European van tour in the fall of 2018.
They're not
So,
fun.
like,
They're not fun.
It was rough. But at the same time, like stopping to do stuff, stopping to see things I never got to see. You know, being in that space with my friends. Like, so on I only did one headlining tour on the solo stuff.
Sure.
And on that tour trip, it was me, my guitar tech Ryan from Yellowcard. We had a lot of Ryans, everyone. There's a different Ryan that I've been talking about all night. So yeah, so I had Ryan Poker, my guitar tech, and then my best friend in the world, Josh Portman, who's the bass player for Yellowcard, and one of my, you know, another like wedding party friend, Patrick Husinger, is a buddy of mine he's an actor, but he's got an amazing voice and plays piano. So he came out just to do the tour. I didn't even pay him. He was just like, I just want to do it. I've never done a tour. That sounds fun. So
Sure.
a lot of it was hell, like, you know, not being used to it and having to get back in that grind. But a lot of it was amazing, being in the van with my friends like that, with this kind of new. At that time, I hadn't quite given up the ghost, like that I wasn't going to work out to do
Sure,
this
yeah.
thing. You know, I was like, yeah, man, I'm grinding it out. You know,
Right.
next Bonnaroo next year, it's happening. You know, but so there was that moment of sharing this sort of like energy of like, wow, this is exciting and new. You know, so more good than bad to say about it for sure.
Sick. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know, maybe I got spoiled by making the jump from my previous band to the Ghost Inside, or maybe it's just the fact that I had like just gotten married, but the idea of jumping back in a van and maybe not making money when I would come home is just not exciting
tough,
to
bro.
me. Pauly
Go to
Fierce-
Europe and not be quite able to go all the way and like sleep in like the Ibis hotels. Like I couldn't, dude.
Yep.
I just couldn't go that far. Like I had to do, I didn't stay at the fucking Ritz, but you know, I had to just get like, I don't know, Holiday Inns are pretty nice in Europe. You know, I had to get
Right.
like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Do that, come home and have your business manager tell you that you actually owe them like $6,000 for the tour. You paid that to go do the tour. That's the best.
That makes me want to throw up a little bit.
That's
I'm
the
not gonna
best
lie
feeling.
to you. I'm good on that. Pauly Fierce says, Ryan, what's one Star Wars character you love to see either fall to the dark side or come to the light side?
Like current?
He didn't specify, so I think we'll say whatever you're feeling.
That's actually Scotty. That's really, or Scott. That's actually amazing because there's that whole fan conspiracy theory that Jar Jar was a Sith Lord. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna rip your reply and say yes. Obviously, like I don't know how much stock I put into it now, years in, but that YouTube video that's out, the main one that you can watch about Jar Jar being the Phantom
Right.
Menace, basically, is so convincing, dude. Yeah, that would have been cool to actually see if that was the plan, to like have the like clowny voice go away and him become, because like I say this all the time, Yoda did the same shit, no one bitches about that. You know,
Exactly.
Yoda showed up like take your tour, and then turned, you will be, you know, like
Right.
what if Jar Jar had done that? Like what? That would have been insane.
I mean, I'd been about it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm with that. Someone asked me about weed.
Yeah, I saw.
So
what's your favorite strain
I'm
of weed?
not like no daytime. Can't do it when the sun is up. Not a fan.
Sure.
It's a night wind down. It's been very good for me. I wasn't throughout most of my life. It's a later in life thing.
Yep.
And I would not consider myself like full on stoner. Like it's very much used for a purpose. Definitely knocks out a headache for me. I get bad migraines and works better than Excedrin migraine for me, 100%. Sleepy stuff, like sleepy gummies and stuff, help me sleep, like that kind of stuff. Creatively, I work pretty well in the studio at night, and so that's also will be if I'm not singing and I want to just vibe the fuck out on a synth part or an arpeggio or something, like, come on,
That's the jam.
it
Yeah,
just helps.
yeah. It's the magic lettuce, man. It
just helps.
creates the vibes. Yeah, I've never been crazy about it, but our band consumes a good bit of CBD products, and I like fully swear by like there's magic in that plant in general. I swear to God.
Yeah. It depends on, like anything, man. It's in moderation. It's how you use it. You know, all that stuff. I think.
For sure. Guys, we're getting close to the 1 hour mark here. I told Ryan we'd keep it to about 1 hour, and he's got some celebrating to do tonight. So if you have some questions. Let's get him in. I wanna ask you about a goofy thing that I remembered today that I heard, because you did the Lead Singer Syndrome podcast with Shane Told a while ago.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to it when it came out, and you brought up he asked you about you saying "No parents, no rules" all the time in the studio.
Yeah.
And how he had the "No parents, no rules" tattoo.
Really?
My band was on tour with him when we literally the entire tour package got that. It was like a running joke on our tour, and I have no idea.
Because of me?
I don't know if it was because I don't know how that like crossed over, but
you were on tour with him after I recorded that podcast, and he was saying that.
We got that in 2011. Which I think is why he was like, how is it that like you have a thing that's no parents, no rules, and our entire tour package had that thing?
I can't even really take credit for it because I told you I made those EPs with Arun Bali from Save the Day, and it was his thing. Because I wanted to bring him in because he definitely has like a little bit of an edge as a producer and mixer. He's more throw and go. He's less calculated. Some of the stuff I wanted to do with those EPs to have them sound a little more analog. I don't know, just have them feel a little more like I just wanted to remove it so far from Yellowcard. He seemed like the right guy that I knew well. So I would often be like, I don't know, man, like that just seems like too far to, you know, and he'd be like, bro, no parents, no rules.
Dude,
and it stuck.
I wonder if he got it from somebody on our tour, because the tour was Bayside and Silverstein co-headlining, and then it was Polar Bear Club, the Swellers, and my old band Texas in July. I wonder if he knew somebody from that tour, because that's like all like. But we would say it about
Arun knows all those guys well, all those bands.
It would be about something so stupid. It'd be like, you know, it's 7 a.m. and I want Oreos for breakfast. No parents, no rules. Like it would be like dumb shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was like the early touring year, like Yellowcard years. Like, I mean, I don't know how I'm alive with the poison that I just constantly ingested. Like,
right.
You wonder why my voice was so shitty every time you heard me sing back then. Everyone's gonna be like, no, you sounded great.
I never thought that,
but it was shitty. Well, maybe don't eat 3 fucking rows of Oreos with milk on the bus 5 nights a week.
Dude, you're explaining me every day of the pandemic, and
it's science.
Yeah, it's true.
Someone asked favorite tattoo. I'm working on mine. As you can see, this is a bit extreme.
I love that.
I'm covering up my left sleeve because it's old and faded and random, and I was tired of looking at it, and I've wanted to do this for a long time. So when I first saw Blackwork sort of appearing on the scene, I was really intrigued by it. I'm now in the process of deciding. I'm like about up to here. I'm going back in July to finish up over my shoulder where my sleeve ends, but whether or not I'm gonna go to a second artist to do the white on black blasted in and really kind of make a sleeve out of it again.
Right.
I think I'm gonna do that. I'm talking to a guy in Colorado, amazing artist that does it. But as you can see, this is healed. This is fully healed. So the dude that did this is an absolute fucking legend.
Yeah, that's nuts because
it's this. I'm past 2 weeks now.
My black doesn't stay like that. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it's gonna look like in 5 years, but
sure.
2 weeks, nothing's shedding anymore. I mean, it's fully healed.
That's so sick. That's
really wild.
So sick.
So
I love Blackwork. I think it looks fucking badass.
Yeah. I'm excited.
My favorite is on the back of my leg, and I'd have to like pull down my pants to do that, so I'm not gonna show you guys. But it's just the outline of a 15-passenger van, and it says "Home is where you park it" underneath of it. And I got it on Texas in July's farewell tour, because it was an inside joke of ours, because we just lived in fucking Walmart parking lots forever. But that one's like the most sentimental one to me.
I'll show you guys sort of like what someone was like, white on black. It's like, sounds crazy, but it's real. It's a thing. Let me see if I can get this focused. This is the artist in Colorado that I'm talking to.
Oh God, that's so sick. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I have somewhat of a kind of more traditionally like Sailor Jerry, the bones and the heart kind of thing on my hand.
Yep.
So when I saw his work, there's a lot of guys that do white on black, very geometric, like super cool, very modern, wild Blade Runner style shit.
Right.
And when I saw this guy doing them with a little bit more of a traditional spin, I go to Japan like 3 times a year in non-pandemic times. So
Sure.
I think I'm really going to go hard if I do it on like a traditional, koi cherry blossom Japanese theme down my arm, which I think will flow somewhat with this kind of old school tattoo on my hand. Because that was a lot of the problem too, is it's just hodgepodge. Like I started actually to try a watercolor cover up. So this is actually the second sleeve I've done.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it just wasn't going the way either of, like it wasn't a bad tattoo. The dude's amazing. He's an amazing artist at doing cover up specifically. The
Right.
problem was just that this is what I wanted to do and I didn't do it from the start. It wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
I was just like, bro, I need to just go do what I set out to do. So
Sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be a year, at least before it's done if I do that.
Right. Polly Fears asking, which song went harder live, Way Away or Lights and Sounds?
Even tie?
Even tie, really?
They both shred, dude. Like their own reasons live. Like, yeah, I really don't know. Those they're so similar too in like style and energy. It's really hard to compare.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Scotty's asking, do you ever wonder how many people found Yellowcard from the music being featured in video games like SSX3 or
No.
other media like that?
I don't, because people tell me still all the time that's how they found the band.
That's
So
incredible.
I don't wonder about that at all, actually.
That's awesome. How did you eat all those Oreos and still be super skinny on tour?
Mom and Dad,
Yeah.
that's all I got to thank. Good genes.
Yeah.
I know I'm an asshole for that. I'm fully aware. I don't know, man. Because
No.
what's funny is I was like malnourished. It's like
Sure,
the David
yeah.
Cross joke about like, overweight people that are malnourished because they're eating Cheetos and Oreos. Like
Right.
they weigh, they have diabetic level weight problems, but they're actually malnourished. It's such a freaking America. But
Yep.
I was so skinny back then I think it's because of that. It's like the reverse problem. Like my genes are good, so my metabolism's really high, but I was so skinny that around 2007 or 8, I got sober for a whole year and like made a choice. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to the gym. I'm hiring a trainer. I was eating like 4,000 calories a day and lifting every day at 6 a.m. And I haven't been exercising since I moved in December, really, which is a pain in the ass. But the move really threw me out of my routine in the pandemic. I was kind of back to shred life. I was pretty shredded.
Yeah.
I was really stoked on it because I was literally working out every day. But
Right.
then I moved and it just threw me out of my routine and I haven't gotten back into it. And then the tattoo and but either way, like the weight I put on when I started lifting in 7-8, it's like stayed, but it's just funny. And I'm glad that it did because I feel like I look more like a normal human being. Like I was like 2003, dude, I was like fucking gross, like a skeleton. And it's because my diet was Jack Daniels and Oreos and milk. Like,
It'll sneak up on you, man.
yeah.
It'll sneak up. Mingledorf's, how did you end up working with Airflip?
So good friend in Japan, Masa Oichi. It's probably Oichi Masa actually in Japanese, because I think their last names come first, right? But either way,
Sounds right, yeah.
good
yeah.
friend, was for a long time the person in Japan that handled all of Hopeless Records stuff. So when he would release them, he would handle the in stores. He would do all that. He was the label manager, basically, I think is the title, for Hopeless. So we made friends when we signed to Yellowcard, started touring Japan again. We became buds, and we've stayed really close buds throughout that time. So obviously he's really in the scene in Japan with bands, and knew that I was producing stuff, and just said, hey, we got a band. They're huge Yellowcard fans, and they would love to make the record with you. And I got to live in Japan for 8 weeks to make the record. It was amazing. I had an apartment in Osaka in like a residential neighborhood. It was crazy.
Damn.
So cool.
That's some
One
big
of
time
my
shit.
one of my favorite musical experiences in my life.
That's some big time shit. Did you dip the Oreos in Jack Daniels? I hope not.
I don't think even as like a party joke that ever actually happens. So we're
Oh,
safe.
okay. Well, I'm okay. Well, so your band's more civilized than mine. We make each other do some gross food stuff, and I'm not proud of it, but it's funny in the moment.
Yeah, we never had a whole lot of the like jackass vibe.
So
we would get really intoxicated and do some really stupid shit. We were really out of control, for sure. Which is we could talk about it on another podcast. And we're serious about it if you want.
Sure.
Or another stream. Sorry.
Sure.
But we didn't have like daily pranky jackassy vibe. I think our inability to coexist was evident subconsciously at such an early age that we knew if you tried to pull any shit like that, it was not going to end well.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, at least you were self-aware enough.
Well, we weren't. I just think now looking back that might be the reason why we weren't a pranky band. Now that I can kind of look back on the whole thing with a clear mind.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. If you guys have any last minute questions, you can get them in. I have one last question for you. It's something I think about all the time, and I'm bringing it up because somebody asked, Scotty asked about people finding the band through video games and stuff, and then a good friend of the stream, his name's Mike. He goes by Thong DeLong on here.
Yeah. He's in my chat like every day.
Dude, he's the fucking man. I don't know if he's here right now. He told me he was gonna be, and he might have fucking ghosted us tonight. But he streams. He plays like all the early 2000s like pop punk and emo stuff on his streams, and he covers them and sings them and plays guitar. And he was playing "Sweetness" by Jimmy Eat World the other day, and me and Mara were hanging out in there, and I had mentioned like, I wonder what it feels like to write a song that resonates so well with people, and then like, when you're writing a song like Ocean Avenue, do you know that you're writing a song that's gonna have like that big of an impact on not just your life, but everybody else that listens to it?
No way. The song almost didn't go on the record.
That's psycho.
I couldn't finish the chorus. Every single, it's only, it's 3 chords the whole time. It's one of the only songs we ever had like that, where the chord progression doesn't change. And I couldn't find a chorus. Everything I brought in, Neil was like meh, meh. And we were really coming up against the end of the process when I walked in and said, "What about I can find you nothing will matter?" And he was like, "Record that right now." So we felt like it was cool for sure. We were like, "Whoa, that just leveled up." But then it went on the record, and it was just a song on the record. We knew it was really, really fucking cool. But no, there's definitely not. When an album is done, you can then go like, "Wow, that song feels special," you know?
Right.
But certainly not in the process. And shortly after learning how the music business works, those feelings are for you to have, and then you got to let them go.
Right. Yeah.
You can get really excited all you want about the song you think that you just wrote that's better than With or Without You, but you got to let that go and let the album do what it's going to do. You know what I mean? So there's that chasing the ghost kind of thing, that happens after you have a huge hit single for sure. And anyone who says they don't suffer from that is lying to you.
Sure.
But no, I don't think during the process you're like conscious of what's about to happen at all. That's what makes it so cool.
Sure. Fair enough. Yeah. I just always wonder while making a record, like obviously you're stoked on it because it's your music that you are writing in the moment. And so you wouldn't be writing if you didn't care about it. And then you just wonder, like, do these bands that write these gigantic records know that they're writing these gigantic records while they're writing them? Or do they feel the same way as you and it just happens to connect and sometimes other stuff doesn't?
Look, I don't know what happens once you become a band that basically no matter what, you put out an album and you're guaranteed radio play.
Sure.
Which we were we got that treatment for 2.5 records.
Right.
But for like your whole life, 20 years in, you're going to make an album and they're still going to play it on the radio. Like then maybe, I don't know, maybe then you're like, okay, more crafting, knowing like, fuck it, let's make this just the most ripping hook of all time because it's going to, I don't know because I didn't get to experience it for that long.
Sure. Fair enough.
What it would be like to be a Coldplay or a Foo Fighters or a U2 or, one of those bands that no matter what you make, it's going to get exposed at a massive level. So I don't know.
Sure. Fair enough.
I think there's like 2 more in here. Most cherished part of the Yellowcard legacy. Probably Lift a Sail, the album. is probably my most sort of like baby moment that I hold and nurture.
Sure. Yeah.
It was a really wild, dark, emotional time in life for me, and those songs were very much a release personally. I think the rest of the guys in the band had to suffer because of it, actually, to make that album with me, which I regret, but at the same time, it's like I think I was a bit of a pain in the dick, even more than usual than I could be. But it just was, I had to get through it. And that album to me is such a departure from what we always did as a band, and it's such a like bold step, and I'm really proud of it. I know a lot of people don't. Look, by the way, I say this confidently. I don't mind if you don't like the record. It doesn't bother me. But I know
Sure.
a lot of people don't like that record because of how different it is. So it's just, but for me, it's not about that. It's just about the moment and remembering it and how important the songs are to me. So that's probably my most cherished thing.
Hell yeah.
You know, which I feel really great to say when I'm like sitting here in my studio with like a platinum record on the wall. It's amazing, and and it's crazy to me. It still blows my mind when I walk in here and it's there in front of me. But to say like an album that like hardly got any exposure, you know, even as Yellowcard, like is my favorite thing. It makes me happy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just got to make shit that's important to you, and then hope it connects afterwards. That's the only way to really do it and not be miserable while you're doing it. So fuck it. And then Paulie's asking tips for finding confidence to sing.
Good luck, bro. I hate singing still to this day. I hate it. It's my least favorite part of my job, and it's why I'm doing everything I can to transition into instrumental music.
How did you end up being the singer?
My voice is really, really finicky and fragile. It always has been. Worse when I was younger and you know had just I enjoyed myself. By way of chemical substances that didn't help. But even after that, when I really cleaned up and, you know, started taking vocal lessons for the first time in my life. Again, I told you tonight, like I hated musical theater as a kid. Then I got thrust. So imagine you graduate high school in 1998 and you're like not really a fan of doing like public singing. I got a punk band in high school, like a really punky, shitty band that I was the singer of. But we never played for more than 50 people in a basement in Jacksonville,
right?
You know, in a shitty little rock club. So that wasn't something. Literally 6 years. Think how short 6 years of your life is. 6 years later, you're on the VMAs. Like, singing was a mental disaster for me. Like, anxiety and stress and all of it played a terrible role on how fragile my vocal cords already are. Like, anxiety and stress is half the battle. So there you go. Actually, I'm finding a way to answer your question. Big tip. Meditate, whatever you got to do, like whatever you need to do to get stress and anxiety out of your life in general will help your process singing, because singing is very reliant on the rest of your body, your neck muscles, your shoulder muscles, your diaphragm. If you're like this all the time, which I was back then, your vocal cords are going to be like this. And then when you're singing, instead of, if you've ever seen videos of a vocal cord, they're wild. They go like this. It's like a wave. And instead of doing that, they go like this because they're crammed in this tight, shitty space that they can't operate naturally. So I learned all of that through losing my voice to such completion that I had to have surgery on my vocal cords and getting a vocal coach and all those things. Like, it was a little late to learn it, but I'm glad I did learn it. But I think that's a long-winded answer to your question, that I hate singing, but I think getting stress and anxiety out of your life is a massive ingredient to naturally just finding that confidence. You'll just be like, oh wow, I'm just singing better, and that comes from your mental health.
Yep, I think that totally makes sense, and I think that's a perfectly fine answer, honestly. Ryan, thank you so much for hanging with us tonight, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, dude. I appreciate you having me. You know, I'm trying to get this new venture going, and you've got, you know, a solid little community, and you're working hard on it. So I appreciate you bringing me in and sharing me with the community, and hopefully, you know, you guys want to jump over and give my channel a follow. It's going to get really cool next month, and we're about at 1,500 followers, which is
sick.
You know, let's go.
Getting there. So. Yeah, guys, absolutely go follow Ryan right now. I think that his streams are going to end up being super fucking cool, and probably one of the coolest streams, just by what you're explaining. Probably going to end up being one of the coolest streams on all of Twitch for music related stuff. So
thank you. That's
yeah.
That is a heavy statement.
I mean,
from
you
so I
know,
appreciate it.
prepare yourself for me being in there punishing you, asking you what you're doing constantly.
I'm ready.
so-
I'm ready. I mean, you'll be able to see it. You know, that's what's
Right,
cool. I'm just gonna
right.
have the rig up for you to see. So
Sick. Well, guys, let's get a round of applause in chat for Mr. Ryan, and thank you, man. I appreciate you being here to hang with us tonight.
of course, dude, I appreciate you having me, man. And let's do the same. You know, come over to mine and hang
Dude.
when I get going.
Would love to.
That's what it's all about, right? So
Would love to. Cool. Well, my man, take care. I'll be seeing you.
all right, see you guys. Chat. Thanks for hanging. I appreciate all the love, and hopefully we'll see you over on the channel. I'm starting music streams in the next couple weeks, so we'll see you there. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. See you, man.